Hey everybody. I'm going to wait just a few minutes before I get started just to see if we get some more people in chat. But I've got, well, let me look here. I don't know. Looks like Flamin' Jackson and I Am the Noise Opera I know have been in. And yeah, I'm going to give it just a few minutes. Let's see who else pops in. Let's see. It's just going to check. Oh, thank you. Are you doing the? Huh? Are you going to the coops? Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, it's got a sinus headache coming on. I need to hurry and take something before we get going here. If you guys, if can everybody hear me okay in chat? Can you guys give me a thumbs up? If you can hear me okay, can you somebody put a 1 in the chat? I appreciate it. Hey, leader number 7. How you doing? Can you hear me, leader? It could be louder. Okay. I got my. I will just have to speak louder because I have my camera kind of off. Hey, Ilea. Okay. We've been on the road today. We went to Colorado yesterday and we just got back. But it's a pretty drive. And it was nice to get out of the house for a little bit. See ya. Sorry, my husband was just leaving to put the chickens to bed. Anyway, oh no, I just closed a bunch of. Oh well. Oh, you're in Colorado. We were just in Grand Junction and went up to Palisade and yeah, I use medical marijuana and yeah, I know I'm not supposed to bring it across the border, but it's so much cheaper. So much cheaper there. Hey, oh, and there's Ronnie. Hey, Ronnie. And Steve. Hey, Steve Harloa. He's there. Awesome. All right. Well, I think this is going to be a part 1. Oh, look who came to say hi. Hey, buddy. Ooh, and you're cold. These fur's all cold from being outside. Okay. Okay. Before I even start, I just wanted to remind everybody if anybody wants to chat, wants to jump on with me, um, the link is right there. Um, click on the link. I will see when you pop up. And if you don't want to be seen on camera, you don't have to. That's not a problem. But I would love to have anybody, if there's anybody who needs to talk, please reach out and connect because, I can't even do what the lifeboat does, but I'm trying. And if there's anybody there, that really needs to talk, please feel free to use that link. Or if you guys have anything to add to what I'm going to talk about tonight, please jump on. I would love it. Because I don't think that Misha here. Can you peek up there? See? Can you say hi? I don't think he's going to have a lot to say. Anyway, welcome everybody. And I still haven't figured out how to give anybody ranches. Oh, there's Cindy. But when I get it figured out, I will start getting some moderators as well. But yeah, and Ronnie and Steve, they have been so much help to me. And they told me how to hand out wrenches, and I guess I'm not in the right spot. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but the more videos, the more live streams I do, the more we're going to get this worked out. So anyway, I think this is going to be a part 1 on rewiring your brain for recovery tonight, because the more I looked into this and the more podcasts and things I started listening to, the deeper I want to get into a lot of this. And I really don't like to present something unless I really have a good understanding of it. So this is only going to be part one. But I was listening to a podcast today that is for addicts, and I think it's out of Florida. And they had a guest, and her name was, I think, Erica Spiegelman, and she's written a book on rewiring your brain for recovery. And she's a counselor, and I think she's near the Los Angeles area. She's got clients all over the United States, and she is an addict herself. I mean, she's an alcoholic, and I think she's recovered. I think she's been recovered for like 13 years now. But I mean, she knows her stuff, and I'm so impressed with what I heard of that podcast that I'm going to order her book, and I'm really going to look a lot more into this, because the things that she talked about just on the podcast are so helpful, not just for addicts, but for people dealing with anxiety and depression. I mean, there's some really good stuff, and I don't want to just breeze over everything. I really want to get more in depth into everything she went through on the podcast that I heard today. So, like I said, this is just going to be part one. But before we get into that, there are two 2-minute little videos. There's just two of them. They're 2 minutes each. I want to show them because it explains much better than I can the basics of your neurons in your brain and how they work. And once we can get a basis for that, then I can explain a lot more. And I'm a nurse, and when I was in nursing school, and I don't think they teach this much anymore, but when I was in nursing school, my favorite instructor was very big on patient teaching. What I mean by that is, if somebody's in the hospital and they've had a cardiac arrest, and they've been in ICU, and you get them through all these critical points, and you're about to send this patient home, and they've got all these different things that they've got to do, all these different medications that they've got to take. There's a bunch of things that they've got to do, and I just have learned that patients are a lot more apt to follow instructions if you explain to them why. If you explain the reason behind it and why it's so important, and they understand that, then they're going to do it. And so I would like to start out with just teaching you just the basics of the neurons and how they work and how they communicate in your brain, because that's, as addicts, that's something that we really want to rewire, is these neural pathways that we've created in our brain. So if I remember right how to put these videos on, let's see if I can do this again here. Let's see. Okay, all right, guys. I think this is the first one. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to 2-Minute Neuroscience, where I simplistically explain neuroscience to neuron. This is a brain. Estimates vary, but right now the best guess seems to be that our brains contain around 85 billion neurons. The neuron is a nerve cell, and it's the primary functional unit of the nervous system. This is a generic image of a neuron. Neurons actually come in all shapes and sizes, but this is the prototypical version of a neuron that you'll often see in a textbook. The structures extending from the left side of the neuron that look a little bit like tree branches are called dendrites. Dendrites are the area where neurons receive most of their information. There are receptors on dendrites that are designed to pick up signals from other neurons that come in the form of chemicals called neurotransmitters. Those signals picked up by dendrites cause electrical changes in a neuron that are interpreted in an area called the soma, or the cell body. The soma contains the nucleus, which contains the DNA, or genetic material of the cell. The soma takes all the information from the dendrites and puts it together in an area called the axon hillock. If the signal from the dendrites is strong enough, then a signal is sent to the next part of the neuron, which is called the axon. At this point, the signal is called an action potential. The action potential travels down the axon, which is covered with myelin, an insulatory material that helps to prevent the signal from degrading. The last step for the action potential is the axon terminals, also known as synaptic buttons. When the signal reaches the axon terminals, it can cause the release of neurotransmitter. These purple structures represent the dendrites of another neuron. When a neurotransmitter is released from axon terminals, it interacts with the receptors on the dendrites of the next neuron, and then the process repeats with the next neuron. Welcome to 2-Minute Neuroscience, where I simplistically explain neuroscience topics in 2 minutes or less. In this installment, I will discuss synaptic transmission. Most communication between neurons occurs at a specialized structure called a synapse. Synapse is an area where two neurons come close enough to one another that they are able to pass chemical signals from one cell to another. The neurons are not actually connected, but are separated by a microscopically small space called the synaptic cleft. The cleft is less than 40 nanometers wide. By comparison, a human hair is about 75,000 nanometers wide. The neuron where the signal is initiated is called the presynaptic neuron, while the neuron that receives the signal is called the postsynaptic neuron. In the presynaptic neuron, there are chemical signals called neurotransmitters that are packaged into small sacs called vesicles. Each vesicle can contain thousands of neurotransmitter molecules. When the presynaptic neuron is excited by an electrical signal called an action potential, this causes the vesicles to fuse with the presynaptic membrane and release their contents into the synaptic cleft. Once they are in the synaptic cleft, neurotransmitters interact with receptors on the postsynaptic membrane. They bind to these receptors and can cause an action to occur in the postsynaptic cell as a result. This action may involve increasing the likelihood that the postsynaptic cell will become activated and fire an action potential, or decreasing it. Eventually, the neurotransmitter molecules must be cleared from the synaptic cleft. Some of them will simply drift away in a process called diffusion. In some cases, the neurotransmitter is taken back up into the presynaptic neuron in a process called reuptake. Once back inside the presynaptic neuron, the neurotransmitter can be recycled and reused. In other cases, enzymes break down the neurotransmitter within the synaptic cleft. Then the component parts of the neurotransmitter can be sent back into the presynaptic neuron to make more neurotransmitter.
Okay, did everybody get that? I hope. Oh, and there's
2-Minute Neuroscience.
I don't know. Hang on, I gotta.
Neuroscience topics 2 minutes or less.
Oops, sorry about that, guys. Let me get rid of that one too. There we go. Okay, and Miss B is here. Hello. All right, guys. So now that you've got, this, you don't really need to understand a whole lot about that, but let's start with that. As addicts, we spent a long time creating neural pathways in your brain, all around your addiction. I mean, whenever you learn something new, and you're creating these new neural pathways, you've got these little individual cells that they showed in that first video, those little neurons with the little dendrites, that receive and send. And when you are learning something new, you're making a new pathway. You're making, and what that means is that these cells are being lined up for an electrical stimulus to be moved along that pathway. And at first, when you're first creating these new neural things, these neural pathways, when you are learning something, the way to reinforce that is to have those signals firing in that pathway over and over again. That's why practice is so important. But the other thing you need to remember is that the more you do that as well, those pathways become myelinated. If you remember in that first video too, once a cell picks up a stimulus, and there's that soma with the nucleus, if that signal is strong enough, it is sent down that axon, down that longer part to where you have more dendrites, and they will send it off to the next cell. And I mean, it just fires from one cell to the next. The more this happens, the more you have a myelin sheath. That myelin covers and insulates that pathway. And myelin is really, really important, because without the myelin, often that signal that is trying to move down that axon just kind of peters out. But with the myelin, it's kind of an insulation, a shielding, and it speeds it up. And it's the difference between, if all of us that are older here, you remember dial-up and how long that took. When you're trying to look something up, or you're trying to look at your email. It's the difference between dial-up versus broadband. It speeds things up so much stronger. But the way for those new neural pathways to receive that myelin, that will speed things up again, is through practice. So it's so important. And I was thinking, when I was a kid, I remember probably one of the hardest things I took on, I think, was piano at first. And I don't even remember. I was probably 6 or 7 at the time when I started out. And it was so hard at first, because you had to learn how to read the music. You had to learn, which fingers to use on which keys, and which keys corresponded to the notes on the page. And there was just so much. And, learning how to play a musical instrument, honestly, it takes years if you want to be an expert at it. It does. You just have to do it over and over and over. And, when you first start out, a lot of times, you will forget, or you'll stumble, whatever it is you're trying to learn, you're going to mess up, but you've got to continue to practice. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I remember as a kid, how important the practice was. But something else I learned, and it was the same with, I was a gymnast until I got in that accident when I was 11. And it was the same thing again, learning something new. You're creating these new neural pathways in your head. You're wiring your brain at a very deep level. And again, it takes practice. You've got to do the same trick in gymnastics over and over again. And there's so many parts of your brain that are working at the same time, because it's not just the learning. You're coordinating all the different parts of your brain to, if you're playing the piano, the you create, you end up with muscle memory, because your hands learn where the keys are, and you learn, same thing with gymnastics. I remember that too. You get that muscle memory, but that's so many different parts of your body. I mean, there's your balance, your vision, your fine motor skills. There's just so much your brain that is being stimulated, and pathways that are being created. And I can't say enough about practice. But the other thing is, when you practice, once you get to a point where you think you've almost learned a certain skill, you need to remember that when you practice, you've got to practice perfect if you want to perform in a perfect way. And if I remember memorizing a song when I was a teenager, and it was a longer one, and it was for Christmas or something, and I would get to one run where there were like 6 measures that were extremely complicated, and I just kept messing up. But if I sat down and just went through those 6 measures over and over again, and I started out slowly, and I got him right, and I kept going, um, I would finally get through it. But I had to also teach myself that once I was almost, when I was playing through that piece and I'd get to those 6 measures, that difficult run, if I paused when I was practicing before I really got into it, that would trip me up too. So, what I'm trying to say is when you practice something, if you want to perform it, you want to do it properly, you've got to practice perfectly. And that can really be tricky. But, all of working on all of that really strengthens those signals and gets those new pathways myelinated. And as addicts, you spend a lot of time. I mean, think about all the time that you spend just thinking about, when you wake up in the morning, your first thought is, where am I going to get what I need? You spend a great deal of time, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever it is that you were addicted to, you spend a great deal of time thinking about it and all of the stuff that you go through to obtain it. And you want to hide it, and so you become a very secretive, very sneaky person. I mean, these are all things that you practice, daily, many times a day when you're an addict. And you're practicing them over and over again so that they get really set in your head, and those pathways get myelinated so they work really well, and those signals are very strong. So that's something that's very difficult to break out of. And that second video, um, it was talking about the neurotransmitters and how you got to have, for us, dopamine and serotonin are really, really important ones, to keeping positive thoughts and doing things that are going to give you feelings of pleasure. And, as addicts, whatever the substances that you're addicted to, for a long time, that's given you that pleasure. It's a lot to break out of. It can be really difficult. And that serotonin, that dopamine, really, really important. As addicts, the most important thing becomes whatever it is you're addicted to. And there's a lot of things you don't do. You don't eat properly. All of your money will go to obtaining whatever it is that you're addicted to. That might be a reason why you don't eat well, but just those behaviors, you don't take care of yourself. You don't sleep, you don't eat right. And I want to remind everybody that in your gut, your stomach, your intestines, your small intestines, large intestines, but for the most part, it's the small intestines where so much of your neurotransmitters are produced. They're produced by bacteria in your gut. And so if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not eating properly, you're not taking in the nutrients that your body needs to repair itself, to maintain the cells in your brain, to maintain the levels of neurotransmitters that you need, and sleep is so important in all of that too. I mean, there's just so much that is working against you when you're in active addiction. You're not getting the things that you need. And, like I said, it's just a lot to break out of. And when you decide that you want out of this addiction, and there's a lot of things that you've got to do to be successful in, replacing, you need to make some new neural pathways and do new things to replace all of the old stuff that you have been doing while you've been addicted. It's not easy, but it's possible. And really, to live a good life, to take care of other people, you got to take care of yourself first, and so sobriety is just so important. um, and there's a lot of different things that you can do to positively rewire your brain. And let me just pause right there and let me just look at chat, make sure that I haven't missed any questions. Let's see, I just don't want to miss anything. Let's see. Don't see anything much. But if you guys have any questions, please post them. If you have comments, please put it in there. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is practicing gratitude. That is a very positive way to rewire your brain. But notice that I said practicing gratitude. This is something that you just can't passively think about it. Just passively thinking about things you're grateful for, of course, it's helpful, but to really, rewire everything up here, it takes a lot more than that. And, Tommy is always talking about journaling. Oh, keeping a gratitude journal, I have found, is so helpful. I was looking through a bunch of stuff online today, and I found some really cool studies about gratitude. And I wanted to just share a few things with you. Let's see, there was this study that was done in 2015, and I couldn't find the study. I'm sure if I keep digging, I'll actually find the study and find out how many people participated in it. But they divided people into 3 groups. Now, the first group, what they asked people to keep a journal and write down things that you experienced during the day, that basically, everyday situations that you would come across where you found you were grateful. And you were supposed to, journal those things, keep track of those. And if I remember correctly, this study was done over 30 days. And this was something that these participants were asked to do every day for 30 days. So, okay, first group, you journal things you come across during your day that you are grateful for, and you journal about it. The second group, if I remember correctly, was things that came across during your day that irked you or bugged you, or had a negative effect on you. And they asked those people, journal that. Same thing. And then the third group were asked to do the same thing, about things that they came across during the day that affected them. But it didn't matter if it was positive or negative. They just asked them to journal those things. Now, at the end, when they put everything together, it was cool what they discovered. I wrote a couple of these things down. A couple of things that they discovered after these 30 days, their mental health was better. The people that, out of all the groups, the people that did the gratitude, versus compared to the other 2 groups, the people that were journaling about gratitude, their mental health, they were happier. They were more physically active. They reported they felt better physically, and their physical health was better. And let's see, the other thing was, what was the other thing? I guess it was just they were more physically active. That's really good. And the reason that is so important is because positive thoughts and those positive things, that especially the things when you can think of something positive and you have a good feeling that comes with it, those really are good at rewiring the brain. So, gratitude is so important. And there are, I was looking what I noticed across all of the different things I was looking at today about gratitude, there are basically three components to practicing gratitude. The first one would be acknowledging goodness. You know, I have, my husband, I, I think about him a lot, and I talk about him a lot, but it's because I am so grateful for him. And, I write, and when I journal about the things I see him doing from day to day, and especially the sweet things that he does for me. And, that's just, but acknowledging that, hey, you did something really sweet for me today, writing that down and thinking about it, and being grateful, for the things that he's done for me. Really, really helpful. Oh, hey, Garrett. Garrett's here. All right. Let's see. But okay, that's one component. But basically, acknowledging the good things that you are grateful for. The second one is figuring out where it comes from. That's pretty easy. If you're grateful for something, where that's coming from. But the third component is, what action are you going to take? What do you do to show appreciation for that? And I've found over the years with my husband and I, we just reciprocate. I do something, I try to be thoughtful when I do something thoughtful for him, and he reciprocates, and it just goes back and forth. But I also, verbally acknowledge. I tell him, hey, I really appreciate you did this or this or this, today. But all of those things are really, really important. They, let's see, look at my notes here. It was really cool. Okay, all of those things, practicing that is going to increase your dopamine, which is that really feel good neurotransmitter. It increases your serotonin. Again, in many cases, that is another feel good chemical, really important one. The other thing that just, practicing gratitude does is it decreases the activity in the amygdala in your brain. And basically, what that means is, it produces the hormone oxytocin, which is a really good, really feel good hormone, is what I'm trying to say. Um, those are all really, really helpful when you're trying to rewire your brain. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to tell you about the gratitude besides those things, but practicing that gratitude, and remembering those three components of gratitude, really, really helpful. And they make you feel good, and that just helps you overall. Like I said, those positive thoughts, those positive feelings really aid in that rewiring. So I would really encourage you. I do this every day, almost every day. I try to remember. First thing when I get up is I just pull out a journal and I write down three things that I'm grateful for. And I just put a little blurb as to why I'm grateful for them. And I should have brought it down, and I could have read a few of the things, but very, very helpful. And like I said, we've talked about how important it is when you're trying to rewire, and you're trying to learn a new behavior, to practice that. So I would really encourage you to write those things down that you're grateful for. Gratitude journals are really important. But also, when somebody does something nice for you, thanking them, acknowledging that they did this for you, really helpful. And the other nice thing about practicing gratitude is that it pushes you to want to do nice things for other people. And as addicts, when we can help one another out, makes you feel so good. It really does. And I just want to acknowledge everybody that's right here in the chat. I just want to say thank you for tuning in and putting up with me, because I will get better as time goes on at, trying to rein my thoughts in and speak and say the things that I want to say in the way I want to say them. So thank you for tuning in and for being patient with me, because I really appreciate it. And doing this, especially, so far I've mainly put out videos, um, to try to help other people either get sober or maintain that sobriety. And it does, it helps me so much. It just wants to make me put more out there. And you can do that too, and you don't have to. There's so many ways that you can pay things forward. You don't have to start a YouTube channel necessarily to do that. um, anyway, the next thing that I wanted to talk about, I know there was something else I wanted to tell you, but all I can say, what more can I say about gratitude other than just remind you that I wrote this down. Positive emotions reset the nervous system. So, it's really important. Oh, I remember what else I wanted to mention is that, all of, we've talked about the serotonin and the dopamine increase and the production of oxytocin when you're practicing gratitude. Um, but you need those positive thoughts and those positive emotions, to reset everything up here. And so there are things that you can do to boost that. One way to get more dopamine is to exercise. And I know that's, some people really love it and some people don't. And I used to hate it. And now it's, running is just a part of my life. And if you are depressed, if you're struggling, and you need that dopamine, really physical activity, even yoga, it will help you produce more dopamine, help you feel better. Another thing you can do to boost more serotonin is to get a massage. And those are always nice. Most of the time, the massage therapist I go to, I have to see her Friday. It's not a pleasant experience at first. And I bet you, with fibromyalgia, I always hurt through my neck and through my trapezius, and then it kind of works down into both shoulders. And I have a lot of scar tissue and a lot of adhesions, and I need my massage therapist to get in there and just break everything up. And this woman knows what she's doing, and she's got magical hands. But I will come back, I bet, on Friday when I go see her. She needs to break all of this up, and I bet I'll come back bruised up again, like the last time she did it. But it is helpful, and I bet you, even though her massages can be rather painful, I bet you anything I'm getting some serotonin out of it. And if not, then the following day, because when you get all that crap broken up in your neck and your traps in your back, you feel so much better the next day. But having a nice gentle massage, something that really feels good, it does. It boosts your serotonin, and there are many studies that show that. The other thing that you can do, oxytocin is that feel good hormone. How do we get that? That's through hugs. Hugging your children or your grandchildren or your spouse or a really dear friend. I mean, and I'm a hugger now too. Oh boy. If I know you, you're going to get a hug, even if I don't know you very well. But that too will both, like I said, will boost your oxytocin. And those are things you can do to boost those things until you can, reset everything up here and get closer to where you want to be. The second thing that I wanted to talk about tonight that this doctor that I listened to was talking about was, she said, get a planner and use it. And she explained why, and you have to remember, think of all the time that you spent in active addiction. I know for me, my favorite thing was pain pills, prescription pain pills. And, there, yeah, you were always, running through your head the different ways you knew you could obtain these things, whether it was taking them from your friends or your family, or seeing a doctor and just flat out lying about why you needed them. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Um, yeah, I'm not proud of those things, but I spent a lot of time devoted to that, into obtaining those things. Um, and this lady that I was listening to suggested, if you don't believe it, take a few days and record everything you do during the day. Record what how much time you spend, trying to obtain it. How much time do you spend actually in the using, and how much time do you spend just being high? I mean, you waste a lot of time, is what I'm trying to say. And so to start, and to start learning new things, she said to get a planner, sit down, plan out your day. And, there's a lot of things you need to remember that you need to do. You need to eat properly. So you've got to schedule healthy meals in there. What you eat really matters. You know, unprocessed foods, whole foods, things that you cook yourself are, so good for you. And I can't say enough about eating beets and sweet potatoes. I guarantee you, if trying to get out of active addiction, or you're just not feeling well, there's just the nutrients in beets and sweet potatoes. There's something about them that are magical. You eat some of those every day for a few weeks, and I guarantee you're going to feel better. Oh, they're so important. Um, but schedule in those meals and schedule time for meal prep. And it does take a lot of time, but you're working towards your sobriety, so it's really important. Um, you know, talked about setting goals, and let me pause right here and tell you, my husband and I are training all the time. We're always training for the next race. And I find that if I decide, okay, I want to do this race and it's on this day, and I go ahead and I sign up and I put that money down for that race, and then I write that in my planner, then I've got this goal. I want to be ready for this race. Um, and this is where the planning really comes in here is, there's a lot of things you've got to do. You got to find a training plan. You've got to decide, how many days a week am I going to run, and how long am I going to run each day? Am I going to just do a long, slow run? Am I going to do fartleks? There's so many things, but you've got to plan those things into your day. Whatever your goal is, writing that down. There's something about actively writing that down that helps, but then putting in the time and planning towards that goal, whatever it is you want to work towards, plan that out in your day. Make sure you're spending so much time that day on it. And I know, as far as trying to prepare for my next race, I don't run every single day, because you do need rest days, and you need days where you got to have strength training. But again, that's where the planning is. And I tell you, I use a planner all the time. And my planners are always full, and I like to keep those too as kind of a form of journal to go back and look at the things that I've done and the things that I've been able to accomplish. And I mean, it's all very helpful. But trying to think what else. Do you sleep? Make sure that you plan out your day. Make sure that you plan to go to bed at a certain time. And and I'm terrible at this. I love to stay up at night. I'm a night owl, and my brain just functions so much better in the night, and I don't know why. I'm just that way. And I do love to stay up late at night. I don't know if it's because I'm alone and the house is quiet and I can think and work on the things that I want to, but I do get so much more done late at night, as far as like preparation for videos or new things that I'm trying to learn, or things I'm trying to study. Um, as a nurse, I'm always working on trying to learn more natural remedies, things like that. I mean, there's always things that I'm trying to learn, and I do like to do that late at night, but it's not good. It's not good for me. And I need to practice going to bed at a certain time every night too, and sticking to it. But again, I can't say enough about practicing. You know, this is time management, and as addicts, we're not good at positively using our time. So planning these things out is so helpful. But get a routine, schedule that out every day. If you've got to travel, or everybody has things that come up in their lives where you've got to change your schedule, but try to stick to that schedule. You know, plan that out and stick to that schedule. Practice that. It's you're learning better time management, and you're creating these new neural pathways in your head. That's just another way to do it. It's so helpful. I really like that she brought that one up. And there are a few more things that she talked about in the podcast, but tomorrow I'm going to go over more of those. Uh, and there are some more things that I wanted to look into as far as why using using a schedule book is so helpful. I do want to dive deeper into that, so I'm going to look at that. Yeah, but I will go over the other points that she brought up tomorrow on tomorrow's show. And I do want to, while I'm thinking about it right now, I do want to say that tomorrow's show, because of my work, I don't think I can jump on until my time, 7:30. So it is going to be later tomorrow than the usual lifeboat time, and I apologize. Next week I'm hoping to have my schedule moved around so that Wednesday and Thursday, when Tommy and Mark have that time off, that I will be able to still have the live stream at this time every night. But I will be posting that on my community tab, and I will you'll see it. I'll put it on the Facebook page and all of that too. Was there anything else I wanted to say about that? I don't think so. Come here, Misha. Anyway, let me check. Make sure I didn't miss any questions or anything. Hey, Misha, what you doing, bud? Oh, Ilea, that's very nocturnal too. Yeah, you understand. Let's see. I don't. Let's see. I just saw Ilea was saying something here. A comment. There are so many people struggling with the lack of work. They get depressed and turn to drugs and alcohol. Yeah, and this is a difficult year. I mean, it's already Christmas time. The holidays are difficult and stressful, and a lot of people are being laid off and losing their jobs. That's why if you a lot of people can fall into addiction because of that, and that's why time management and using your time wisely and using your time in productive things really, really important. And learning new skills to maintain your sobriety, really helpful, just with life in general, and living a good productive life, something that you can be proud of, and something that can help others. These skills are just helpful for life in general. um, let's see, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything else. I love that Andrew Federer, he says, I have so much time now that I'm sober, but I fill it with productivity. So I'm actually super busy now and have no free time. I'll work, no play, 7 days a week. Good on you. Good job. And I understand. I understand now that I am sober. Yeah, there's so little free time, and my husband and I, honestly, we're both so stinking busy all the time. And I haven't even decorated yet. Still for Christmas, I don't know if it's gonna get done, but I am busy all the time, whether I'm at work or I'm here. There's just so much to do with the chicken farm and grandkids and just life and church and oh boy. But you know what? I'm happy and I feel good. And even but everybody does need time off too. You do need breaks, and sometimes my husband's just as busy, if not busier, and we actually have to leave town and go stay somewhere just to get away to even relax because you stay home. You always see things that need to be done, but it's I would much rather take my life now, even though it's crazy and I'm really busy all the time. I'll take that any day over the life that I led as an addict. I was definitely not living up to my potential. And, I'm just constantly now working towards, being better at so many different things. But more than anything, I'm trying to be better at relationships, especially with those really close to me. My children, my husband's children, my husband, just my friends. I've been blessed with so many wonderful friends and loved ones. And yeah, it's a much better life now, and yeah, finding much better ways to do these things. What are you doing, Kat? Anyway, let's see. Somebody else. Let's see. Aliyah said, according to a recent study published in the journal Experimental Psychology, triggering certain facial muscles by smiling can trick your brain into thinking you're happy. I love that. I have read that before. Um, a long time ago, I remember reading about that. And something else I came across the other day, and I wish I would have written down the link. They were talking about the words that you use, and being very careful with even how you refer to yourself and how you speak about yourself. You've got to be careful. Words can hurt. They can hurt yourself. With poor self talk, you can really hurt somebody by saying awful things to them. But those words, using positive words, can do the same thing and trick your brain into thinking you're happy. And you do, when you smile, you feel better. Especially if it's a genuine smile, and you can always see in a person's face, when there's a genuine smile, you see it in their eyes too. You really see that. And I did see was when I was reading all the things I was reading today on our trip home from Colorado. Boy, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, guys. One of the medications that I take, gabapentin, I take it for nerve pain, and I know that it makes it difficult for your brain to generate new neurons. And I wonder, I have this problem a lot now, and I struggle a great deal trying to put into words what I'm thinking, and I'll be in the middle of a conversation with someone and lose my train of thought and have to ask them, what did I just say? So I apologize. I'm practicing and I'm working on it. It's gonna get better. And I'm seriously thinking of weaning off that medication and seeing how I do without it, and seeing if it will improve my brain function, because I need some help. Ooh, Andrew Federwolf said cold water exposure makes your dopamine levels rise slowly and steadily, peaking at 2 hours after exposure, and it stays high all day, and it's the best natural dope high I have ever had. Ooh, I like that. My husband and I have done this. We haven't done it in a long time. We actually purchased like a horse water trough. It's this big old thing. It's out in the backyard, and when you take ice baths in it, even in the winter time right now, there's a canal really close to our house, and my husband will walk there and go sit in it because he's a big Wim Hof fan. If you guys know Wim Hof, the Iceman. He's really big on that. About that cold exposure and ice baths, things like that. And I love that. That's such a good, positive, natural high, Andrew. That's wonderful. I'm really glad you put that in the comments because I'd forgotten all about ice baths. I mean, for me, they're very helpful. I'm sure for the dopamine, but also very, it's anti-inflammatory, which is something with fibromyalgia that I really need. But I'm glad you put in that comments. Now you guys will be seeing a video of me in the backyard in an ice bath. I haven't done that in a while, so thank you, Andrew. Let's see what else. Yeah, Aliyah said the same thing. You can trick your brain into thinking you're happy by forcing a smile, and it does. It does really work. I used to. I'm trained. I've had a lot of classical training with my voice when I was a little kid, and I still would. I would love to sing opera. I wish I had a beautiful, full, wonderful voice. But what my voice is perfect for, and this is a little odd, but Balkan folk music. And I used to sing with a group. I used to live near Salt Lake City, and I belonged to this music group. It was called Darena, and we did Balkan folk music, and we did a lot of like Croatian, Bulgarian, Macedonian, Serbian music, Armenian. There's even a Romani song or two that we've done, but mostly it was Bulgarian stuff. My point is that when we were singing, what was awesome is if you would smile while you were performing, you sounded better, you sounded brighter. And, for some reason, my voice is perfect for that kind of music. Not sure why, but smiling does. It makes it brighter, makes you sound better. And so surely that's going to help as well when you are even just speaking. That smiling is going to make you sound brighter. So not only does it help make you feel better and trick your brain into thinking you're happy, but you're going to sound happier. So surely that's going to help there somewhere. Let's see, what else? Did I miss anything? Oops. Thank you, Steve. He said that awesome feeling you get when you hit the like button. Thank you. Yeah, please do. If there's anyone that you can think of that that this would help, that the lifeboat live streams and my live streams would help, please share them. I would love to see my channel grow a little bit. I would love to have this as a resource for people to come to, not just for addiction, but for people that are dealing with chronic pain, anxiety, depression. That's something I'm very, very acquainted with, and I live with. And I have not had much time to put out more videos yet, but I will this week be putting out a few talking about depression, anxiety, and chronic pain. So please share if there's someone you know of that could benefit. Please share that. I'd really, really appreciate that. Let me see. I missed any other good comments. Oh, Miss V, be careful. Let's see. Whoops. Where did my comments go? Hang on. See, I'm not good at this yet. Let's see if I missed anything else. You know what? Another thing that I noted, that I read about a few years back, was chocolate. Will give you some serotonin and dopamine boost too. I mean, and especially the dark chocolate, very, very good for you too, because of all the magnesium content. But when women go through our monthly cycles and that PMS and that time during your period where you are so stressed and anxious and moody, chocolate, honestly, I've looked at the studies, chocolate helps. Not too much, but yeah, that's definitely something that you can do to boost your mood. So I don't see, let me just check here. Just didn't want to miss anything or any questions. I don't see any more, but that will be it for today. And I just want to thank everyone for coming here. And the more I do this, the better I am going to get at it. And these will get better. So thank you for sticking it out with me. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm not sure quite about the time yet. It will most likely be an hour to 2 hours later than the usual lifeboat time, which would be 7 or 8 my time. But I will be posting that on my community tab and other places tomorrow. So thank you, everyone. And I hope everyone has a good night. Do you want to say goodbye, Misha? I don't think he's going to move.